for June 19th, 2025. I'm Brian, and I'm going to be the chair today. Any pecuniary interest by any of the members today? I'll take that as a no. Okay, first application day is for a minor variance, and it's 260-266 Front Street, Belleville. The owner is 972440 Ontario, Inc. And staff?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. 260 to 266 Front Street is located on the west side of Front Street, north of Bridge Street East, and southeast of the Catherine Street pedestrian bridge. This minor variance application requests to reduce the required number of off-street parking spaces for 4 additional residential units from 3 to 0. This relief would facilitate the creation of new housing units in the rear portion of the ground floor. Staff's recommendation includes a condition regarding cash in lieu for each parking space is not provided. The official plan designation of the property is City Center and is within the downtown district. At this time, staff have received no correspondence regarding this application. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there anyone from 1972440 Ontario Limited here? Did you want to come up and if you have any additional questions or we have questions?
I thought I read it, but maybe I didn't. What did you just say about recommendation cash in lieu of being waived?
No, you need to pay the cash in lieu for parking spaces.
I totally disagree with that, but how much is it?
So under the existing fee schedule, it's $4,300 for each parking space is not provided, and in this case, that's $12,900 for the 3 parking spaces.
This is not my forte of speaking on this and addressing this. I'm gonna tell you, I've been doing 3 years of everything I could do to do apartments in that building and running into every obstacle I could imagine. I do own a parking lot 2 doors over that I attempt to keep up. I'm told that can't be used for this because I could sell it at some date in the future or whatever. There's parking available all along. Anyway, it's just another obstacle. I just cannot understand another $12,000, including, I don't understand this meeting because every place downtown is going to have a problem with parking. And as I suggested, somebody, could you not come up with a general rule that there's no parking and we pass it for everybody instead of making every single owner come in each time? I came in last year when I put 3 apartments upstairs. Bear in mind, I'm a bit frustrated too because we're having such a problem with the hotel 2 doors over. And I did, I think about $600,000 worth of work on 3 apartments to get through. Finally got possession, and now we're trying to deal with other problems. But these 4 apartments are going to be quality apartments. I'm very proud of the work we're doing, but hitting me up for $12,000 is just another gouge. I'm sorry if I'm inappropriate or rude. I don't know what else to say.
Anybody have any questions for this gentleman? Okay, that's fine.
$12,000, who come up with this, or $4,000, whatever it is, where did that come from?
So that is the existing fee schedule available in the city, and this is the amount of fee that the city charges.
Thanks. So through the chair, the city has a bylaw for, like outlined in JJ's report, that when there is reduced parking requirement, it's okay in the downtown, but subject to when that situation occurs to contribute towards the reserve fund for cash in lieu of parking. That amount was at that time $1,000. at that time, but JJ, could you remind me when that year was?
So that was in 1989.
Yeah. So with the recent fee adjustments, obviously those numbers have changed more recently. We do have reduced parking requirements in the downtown for commercial uses, actually, and also the overall parking requirement for properties in the downtown are also discounted at 10% as well.
But you made a decision to encourage more construction of units downtown, which included residential units. So somebody like me decides, well, I'm going to jump in. I'm cramming for the finals, as my mom used to say. I'm going to finish this building off. And so I make going through the process. And to be fair, I don't think, and maybe I got away with it, you didn't charge me on the top 3 units that I did. Maybe it's because it's on the second floor, but there's no parking there. I'm willing to pay spaces and that, but I still want to come back. Anybody else who comes is going to have to. Every building downtown doesn't have parking. They're 100% unit, and we know it's a problem. Can we not? For other people in the future, can you not pass a bylaw that says that they don't have to go through this application process every time?
Well, the bylaw would have to be passed by council, not us. We have no control over that, so.
Yeah, I just don't know who would listen, but anyway.
Talk to one of your councilors or the mayor or somebody Scott?
Through you, Mr. Chair, is there any precedent for these fees being waived or modified or lessened or adjusted at all?
Through the chair, this is not the appropriate platform to debate the merits of past bylaws. What I would suggest is, regardless of this, you can submit this to the planning staff, and we can bring it to management about if that should be changed. The city has, I'm not sure if we have one scheduled, but housekeeping amendments are generally something that the city is interested in and making sure our zoning bylaw is well maintained. But right now we're just acting on what the existing bylaws regulate.
So you're making a recommendation that you charged me. Does the committee have the ability to not accept that recommendation?
Through the chair, the recommendation is based off of staff opinion. The committee is welcome to change or refuse a recommendation and construct their own. But that authority only leads with the committee.
So they have the right to make their decision.
Jack, you.
Is there anything in the planning of an additional building of apartments or anything that says that you have to have these and these are the actual cost? Does the building department have to tell the person that's doing it, these are the costs that the city's going to charge you?
Through the chair, that's the purpose of pre-consultation. Pre-consultation, a meeting prior to initiating an application.
And who starts this? Who sets the meeting up? And who's it with?
It's with approval staff, and sometimes involves other departments, inclusive of myself, as well as we have, yeah.
Okay. So your people, when this gentleman comes in to get a building permit or talk about this, you people sit them down and tell them what all costs are?
Generally, the answer should be yes.
Through the chair, I did come into a pre-consultation and I got a whole list of, there were about 7 people on the meeting or whatever, and Heritage is everybody telling me whatever. And then I got a whole list of items that that I could have to comply with, you know, like, I don't know what, I can't, I mean, I made my idea of a joke because if you look at the building, it's a block building, a cinder block building, and I said I'd make sure I don't affect the heritage look of that. I'll leave it the same, but it's, but I don't at any time see in that email that I received a note about the parking. I don't know who sent, I think it was Aaron sent me, there was a whole list of things from the building inspector, from various people, things I might have to deal with. One of them, I don't even want, there's another one I want to argue about, but it does affect you guys, so. But I didn't see one where I'd say I'd have to pay in lieu of parking. Because I did it before, and again, maybe it's because it was already, no, they made me go through change of use last time. Anyway, because I did it before, I didn't have to pay, I didn't pay a parking in lieu of, or cash in lieu of parking for the 3 apartments I did upstairs. And again, when I applied upstairs, I'm doing it in 2 steps. I did upstairs, 3 units. I moved our office out. I got it out to the downstairs. And I assumed that because I'd already made the application for, what do you call it, no park, minor variance, that it was taken care of. But then the city told me it's a whole new process again. I have to make the new application, pay the fees again, go through the steps again, and now I stand here and you say you want another 12,000. And
How many other properties have you done similar to this?
well, it's funny you say that. In Belleville,
Yeah. Have you
This
done
is-
other ones in Belleville?
well, I own where Toro Sushi is. We've just built that or whatever, but we have enough parking there. I've dealt with this in Picton and Trenton, or it's funny why I asked this. In Trenton, they asked me, have you ever dealt with building permits before? And I think they looked at me and assumed because I was old, I didn't know what I was doing. And I just kept my mouth shut, and they tried to explain to me how it really works or whatever. So, but yeah, I've done quite a bit, I guess. I don't know what.
I just wondered if you'd run into this situation before and how it was dealt with.
I can't remember. I did one in Picton where we had to deal with cash in lieu of whatever. But in that case, the municipality was selling their own building. And I was acting as the agent, and the buyer was buying it. And in the end, they waived it a little bit to help the buyer buy their building. So, but I ran into it a couple times, but it makes no sense.
Any other questions for this gentleman? Okay, Michael?
Through you, Mr. Chair. I want to make
And
sure.
I'm sorry to be frustrated.
No, don't, but so we're clear. I want to maybe clarify something here, is we have a question before us that's very simple, which is we approve the waiving of the required parking spots or not. And if we don't approve the waiving the required parking spots, you got a problem. You gotta have parking spots, which are physically impossible. So your frustration, I think you can tell from everybody around this table, we're all empathetic with your situation. It's not this committee that can deal with that situation. I feel it, but you need to take it to the appropriate channel, as these gentlemen have stated. We can simply say, we approve the waiver of the required parking spaces in lieu of, and the charge in lieu of, or we do not approve it. That's all we can do.
I understand. I really understand and respect it. And you know what? You got me by the, forgive it for the short ones. I don't know what to say because I have no choice. I'm into this. I have to go on. It's wrong. I can't fight it. But maybe you guys could take a stand on my behalf because somebody has to. I mean, we hear it over and over and over again about problems getting people through these systems. And what you're doing is saying to me, can I give you, and I know I'm off topic, but I'm going to give you I did 3 apartments, and I wish I could take you all in and show them. I think they're the best apartments downtown. I'm all ready to do electrical inspections, everything else. And then at the very end, the Lexicon came in and cut my hydro off. And they said we hadn't gone through the proper channels. And I sat there, the city said, well, nobody told me we were supposed to ask them. And I said, why did you shut it off? And they said, because your hall, there's a common hall, and there's apartments on both sides. You've got your hall on the same meter as one of the apartments. And I said, yeah, because their hall has a few LED lights. It's not going to be much. The tenant in it is also kind of managing my building. I give them a deal or whatever. We insist that you put a separate meter on that hall, which is... And I argued with that and went on, and then they say, well, you got to take it up with the city. They own part of Lexicon. And I'm going to tell you, I might not be as old as I look, but dealing with these things is difficult. And when you turn and say to me, take it up with the city, it's impossible.
Okay.
I understand.
Yeah, we understand your frustrations, but I think maybe that staff can understand your concerns, take it back to
Their
whoever that
staff.
they
They're nice
have
guys.
concern with, and maybe you can also go to your counselor or the mayor or whoever, the building officials, and voice your concerns. But as Michael said, like, we can, it's yes or no, and it's unfortunate, but we didn't make the bylaw.
No, but you're enforcing a dumb bylaw.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, any other questions, concerns? Anybody else in the audience wishes to comment? If not, then,
Yeah, so I just want to add a bit more things on the mentioning of the cash in lieu in the pre-consultation meeting and also in a previous minor variance application. So basically, back to 2021, the property was also subject to a minor variance, and the minor variance was approved, and that was A15/21, which granted relief to allow a reduced number of off-street parking spaces to nil for the four residential units on the second floor, and even back to them, and
Actually, but yeah.
oh yeah, so even back to them, we made sure that I suppose you were the applicant at that time, and we made sure that you were aware that a payment of cash in lieu for parking was required at that time. So I just think it should not be a surprise that you have to pay it again this time. But I understand your
matter what we say, it
frustration
gets worse.
here. But I just want to add this to this application, that cash in lieu parking requirement is actually made aware of.
and maybe in the future, when in the consultation, that's something that should be made clear to the people.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
in the pre-consultation meeting for this application, so I also attended the application, so I remember we mentioned cash in lieu was required. Yeah, so we did mention this requirement in the pre-consultation meeting.
Okay, Jack?
I have one additional question, Mr. Chair. Was the dollar amount mentioned at that meeting?
So at that meeting, we mentioned the cash in lieu requirement,
No,
even
no, I
though
said
we
the dollar
didn't,
amount.
we
How much?
didn't mention the amount.
Why? Why not? How come that is not included in your pre-consultation, that you put the money value on it? So that the person that's, like this gentleman that has come in, he knows what it's gonna cost him to do this. He's gotta make a decision whether he wants to spend that money or not. So I think, personally, I know we're only supposed to say yes or no, but I think in this particular case and in future cases, you better put some dollar values on it. Don't bring it to us to try to satisfy this for you.
Just a
Whoops.
Just a comment. When it was mentioned that there is cash in lieu of, the ownership, or the onus is partly on you as well as the city to advise the amount at that time. If they said there's cash in lieu, then if I was doing it, I would say, okay, how much is that? So an oversight by somebody, but we can't, it's, as we said, it's a yes or no. The amount is there in the bylaw.
I could, yeah. And in fairness, they probably, who knows? In fairness, you know, what he did say is that when we do it again, I just can't imagine that I went through change of use or no parking once, and then when I'm going to finish off the building, you'd say, I've got to come back here and go through the whole damn thing again. It's just absolutely incredulous.
Okay, well, I suggest maybe you voice those concerns to the property authorities and see
Well, I
what
think I am,
happens,
but,
okay?
but
Thank you.
obviously-
Okay, if there's no further questions, comments, do you have a? Okay, if there's nothing else, then do we have a motion? Sorry? I did, if there was anybody else. Yeah. Okay, and there's no one else that wishes to comment on this application? But,
So, through the chair, logistically, on the table, you have a resolution to approve or deny the recommendation by staff, which represents everything that the city can uphold in terms of the policies in place. Technically, it's welcome, like you are, as a body, have had the opportunity to refuse it, but if you do, I believe you might not be able to revisit that resolution. So I just keep that in mind if you are either making a different decision or an amended or a different one, then if you defeat the resolution, that you may logistically not be able to return to it.
okay. Pardon? We can defer it if that's an option, but what is it going
I've
to
got it.
accomplish by deferring it?
At this,
Andrew,
through the chair, at this moment, from a staff perspective, deferring it would not do anything different.
Deferring it's not going to accomplish anything. It's not going to change the bylaw or anything else. So, yeah. So having said that, if there's no further comment, do we have a motion?
Do we give them more time to pay that fee or something?
No, it's part of the building permit application, is it not?
Through the chair, prior to so in the way that a condition works on a minor variance is that until it's paid, planning approval cannot be issued. So if a permit is paid, then that minor variance is void.
All righty then, okay. If that's it, then, no further comments, questions? Moved by Michael, seconded by Scott. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, that's recorded vote, so you voted no and no. And tie, so I break it, we approve it, okay. All righty. Moving on. Our next application is a minor variance, and it's at 34 College Street East, Belleville, Ontario, and the owner is Pathways to Independence, and the application is Van Heusen Homes Limited. And staff?
Thank you, Chair. 34 College Street East is developed with a legal, non-compliant 4-unit dwelling. On February of this year, conditional consent approval was granted to sever the northern portion of the property to create one new residential lot intended for a 1-unit detached dwelling. To satisfy a condition of consent application, this minor variance is requesting zoning relief to reduce the minimum required lot area for the retained lot, which contains the existing 4-unit dwelling from 875 square meters to 741.9 meters, At this time, no correspondence have been received by the public regarding this application. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you. Is there anyone from Van Heusen here to comment?
Hello, my name is Isaac Van Heusen. I'm representing Pathways Independence. I don't have any questions or concerns. Pretty straightforward condition of consent. If you have any questions for me, I can
Anybody
answer
have
them.
any questions for this gentleman? So there's an existing building on it, it's just that doesn't meet the
The lot area, yes.
the
a little bit
lot
too small.
area, but it's not going to change a
No.
whole lot of anything.
No.
Okay. Anybody in the audience wishes to comment on 34 College Street East? Take that as a no, and if not, then... Moved by Scott, second by Jack. All in favor? Thank you. Okay. Moving on, general business, a confirmation of minutes of May the 15th, 2025. Moved by Robert, seconded by Scott. All in favor? Done. Any other business? Correspondence? Next meeting is July 17th, here at 3:30. If nothing else, adjourned. Robert, thank you. Well done.